Good morning, everybody. Enter the stars. Woke up to this headline this morning regarding Trump's tax returns. Now, there's still some additional information supposed to come out regarding this. Apparently, some of his tax returns are under audit. He did pay into the state taxes, but his federal taxes were very low. And I suspect that what will probably happen is he will come back and say, these were business losses and I wrote off my losses, and so therefore I don't pay taxes. That's not what we're here to debate today. We're here to debate the larger problem. And as we start the show, I want to be clear. This is not a Trump problem, because there are people on the left that are billionaires and millionaires doing the exact same thing. This is an elite problem. It's an economic matrix problem. And this is how the wealthy stay wealthy and the poor stay poor. And it's also one more example of how America isn't great again, and that the deep state is alive and well. The very fabric and foundation of the way this country is run economically, how it creates winners and losers, it creates slaves and the wealthy. This country doesn't have a color problem like they keep trying to tell us we have, but rather we have an elite problem. Those who are in the club, who either inherit their wealth and power that's passed down to them, or they're given the knowledge of how to become wealthy. While all of us, black, white, brown, it doesn't matter, we get counterfeit versions of the American dream. Lottery tickets, self-help books, get-rich-quick schemes, and false hope. You see, in America, it takes money to make money. And I would say it probably takes at least $1 million cash that you're willing to flush down the toilet just to start your journey to wealth. And on that journey, you're going to be blocked at every turn by people in power above you who are holding on to their monopoly on wealth and power. They'll blackmail you. They'll sabotage you. They'll try to undercut you, buy you out, and you will be forced to do things that are morally corrupt. That's just the way it works to get to the top in America. And by the time that you get to the top, what did you have to do to get there? What leverage does somebody else have over you that they can then use to manipulate you later, to coerce you into their agenda? This is the American dream, and this is why Jesus' followers want no part of it. Just like Jesus rejected it, we are supposed to reject it. So here we have a billionaire. He could be right or left. It doesn't really matter at this point. Who has claimed losses every single year for decades. And because of those losses, those business losses, paid very little federal taxes. Again, he paid some state taxes, according to him, and some other taxes, but not federal. And we'll get into the Medicare payroll tax because that's one of the largest taxes, and we'll discuss how that all fits into this. So the question becomes, how does a person that loses money every single year to the point where they don't have to pay taxes, how do they stay in business so long? How did he maintain his lifestyle? How did he not fail a long time ago if every single year he was losing money? And how did he become have one of the most successful TV shows and become president? Use your critical thinking. How does any billionaire do this? Because it's not just Trump. None of these billionaires pay much in the way of taxes. There's like some secret code they all have that they use that none of us know about. And all of us sheep just go along with it like no big deal. Because think about this. What happens to us when we don't pay our bills for 1 month or 3 months or 6 months? We get evicted. We get foreclosed on. We lose our life savings. Some of us get our children taken away from us. Others become homeless. One lost job, one illness, one divorce, and we lose it all and have to start all over again from nothing. See the difference between the elite and the rest of us? So, Trump said he would make America great again. That's a lie. That's false hope. If he never intended to reset the entire system in a way that is fair, then that's a lie. He benefited from the system the way it is. That's how he maintained his power and money, through the tax write-offs. Now, this is great for some people, but horrible for everybody else. You see, the elite would just justify their corrupt system of taxation as us being lazy or not being self-made people or self-starters. But when the entire financial system is based on a rigged game in which them and all their wealthy attorneys know all the loopholes, that's when their accusations about us fall apart. But again, that's part of the right-left paradigm. This is how they maintain their power. They throw darts at different sides. They try to put you in a box. They try to categorize you. Jeff was in the chat earlier, tried to accuse me of being on the left. You see how very quickly they try to put you in a box? Because then that way, all the people on the right can throw darts, right? But if they can't box you, their whole argument falls apart. Because I'm not talking about just Trump here. I'm talking about both sides and how our economy is run. The economic matrix of control. These people all know how to do it. There's a formula to it, and most of us don't know how to do it. And we just run in circles, trying to create. Some of us try to create our own millions, and some of us try to be like Trump. Everybody knows the type. When we grew up in school, there was that friend we had that was like, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm such and such. And some of these kids were very smart. And you thought, well, maybe that person can. And then later in life, you run into that person and they've gone through 4 bankruptcies, borrowed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, lost it all, put everyone around them in misery as they've tried to achieve the American dream. It's not for lack of trying. It's because you can't get there from here. You can't create your own wealth in this country anymore. The system prevents it from happening. And even if you get a leg up, very quickly the powers that be will descend upon you and either change the market or use you or threaten you or blackmail you. That's just the way it works. That's the American dream. Trying to compete in this system the way it is much like, I'll give you an example. It's like expecting a dairy cow to find their way out of the electric fence, past the gate, down the road, and they finally make it to the next farmer's pasture, only to be captured a day later when they're identified by their yellow ear tag that doesn't match up with all the green ear tags of the rest of the cattle. Get spotted by the ranch hand, which would be like the cops. They're one level up from us, but they're not elite either. And then you realize that the entire system is created by the farmers. They rule the system, they know how the system works, and we're just cattle. There's no way to find our way back to the natural because we've been so unnatural for so long. And that's why very, very few people who start with nothing can ever get there. And nor should you want to, because you're just going to stab yourself over with many pains, according to what the Bible says. Because the very process of getting there compromises your soul, at least in this system. Now, many people will argue, Casey, America has equal opportunity for everybody to be wealthy. Slow and steady wins the race. Get an education, get a job, pay into your 401k, and you can retire comfortably. This is what people think. People still believe this. Now, if you think that 401k and an education is how these people got their money, you got to wake up. There's an entire system of loopholes, tactics, methods, secret techniques, money laundering, hiding money. That's what enables these people to maintain their wealth. This is going on at the highest levels. They hide money in investments, foundations, casinos, overseas, and even charities. I laugh when people come on here and they say, look how much money Trump's giving away. If he lost money on all his businesses every year, why would he be giving money? That makes no sense. Wouldn't you tighten the belt? They do it because they're hiding the money in the charities. And everybody knows it. You see how far away this is from our life experience? All of us here on this level? We don't have corrupt charities that somehow launder money and funnel it back to us. You think these people give to charity because they care about anything? Look at all the money that Bill Gates gives away. Look at all the money that Eggstein gave away. Do you think they did it because they care about anybody? Of course not. It's a scam. None of their wealth came from slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady gets you nowhere. Because one illness, one divorce, one bad market, and you lose it all. You spend the majority of your 30s and 40s paying off your school loans and trying to live modestly. Some people overspend in their 30s and 40s because they have a six-figure job, but they don't want anyone to know they're paying off school loans too. So you're doing a lot of borrowing during that time. Car loans and all these things that normally should be able to pay cash for. Even at a six-figure income, you've got to pay off those school loans. By the time you hit your 50s, you may have $1 million in your 401k, but probably not, because the money that you were supposed to be putting into your 401k, you were paying off your school loans. So, you hit your 40s or 50s, but then it's time to pay for your kids' college. So, all those savings get spent on college, and your child can't get scholarships unless they're in sports. They can't get a low-income scholarship because on paper, their parents make a bunch of money. And then if you're lucky enough to get to your 50s and maintain a solid work career where you worked every single month and you haven't gotten sick yet, then a divorce happens or a job location change that forces you to sell your house at a loss if the market isn't where it's supposed to be. And God forbid you get sick even once during your entire life, because all it takes is about 6 months to lose everything that you worked for. Why? Because most Americans who make six figures, they want to live like they make six figures. They get pressure from the wife, the kids, to keep up with the Joneses and spend everything you make. You might even have your children in private school. You just keep spending and borrowing or sinking into your 401k. So when things go south for 6 months, the answer becomes, oh, just find another job or start selling stuff off. But then you realize that what you bought either isn't worth anything because of depreciation, or that you don't really own it because you're financing it. And that's when the truth sets in, that you're basically trying to juggle too many balls. The system is set up that way. And this is why they keep programming us with all of these things that we think we need. Programming us with, you should own a home. Programming us with all these new cars and things and private school. You guys, we're not living the elite super wealthy's reality. We're just not. We're not even close. And a person that tries to convince you that we are, they're just being insincere. They live in an entirely different economic system. They hold on to their wealth through moral concession and compromise. And me and you and all of us on this show, we live at the mercy of their system of control. So you got to ask yourself, has it always been this way? Well, hundreds of years ago, when land was open and free to claim on the frontier, maybe not. But even then, let's say you're a pioneer moving west and you find this large swath of land, right? Let's say you just decided this is going to be my 100 acres. But then what happens is the people that got there before you, the Native Americans, are cruising around on your land. So what are you going to do? Well, all it takes is a couple of bad stories, rumors going around of natives attacking pioneers. And the first thing that I can imagine that somebody would do if they saw a Native American on their land would be to shoot at them. Because you claimed the land, right? See how hard it is to hold on to things that aren't really ours? So the pioneers probably shot at the Native Americans on their land, starting these conflicts where there were none before. And once again, we're right back where we started. Selling out to hold on to something. Storing things up, which is what God warns against. You know, God's chosen people in the Old Testament, they were promised the land of milk and honey, but most of their life they were wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years. Did Jesus own property? No, he didn't. What did he do? He wandered around. Probably for 40 years is how old I think he was when he was crucified. So, when elite people like Trump pay almost no taxes, that doesn't surprise me. And it doesn't surprise me either that he maintained his power over the course of decades of claiming to lose money. But this begs another question. What or who was propping him up? And that's where we get into theories about puppet masters. People in higher places than him. People in places of control that had something to gain by helping him. See, here's how the devil works. It's not so much about what you have to give. It's about your talents. It's about it's about your ability to, let's put it this way, control people's minds. It's about your charisma, because the devil likes that, because that's what he needs. He needs someone to help him control people's minds. So once you get to a level of influence, it doesn't really matter how much money you have. And this is why they talent scout in Hollywood. That's why they can go out and make someone out of nothing. They see some spark in somebody and they go, wow, we can use that. We can turn that person into an actor and then write a script that reinforces our agenda, and people will follow that person. And this is how it works. This is why every single actor is a sellout. Because that's the very definition of acting. Because the evil ones that control Hollywood, all they're looking for is someone that they can use to control other people. A Pied Piper. Just like Pan, the demon archetype. So I'm going to end the show today with this. After I just explained to you how a billionaire keeps being a billionaire, even after every year claiming to lose money, I'm going to show you how that billionaire and others like him maintain their control. It's all through you and me. We keep believing their lies. We get our 4-year degrees, and we accept that even after all that education, that they still didn't teach us how to build wealth, that we're still going to be slaves. We accept their BS stories about starting out from a shoebox or a $5 bill in their pocket. We accept their prepackaged success stories about lottery winnings, investors and inventors who hit it big, and their reality TV millionaires. Anything that they can do to keep the carrot dangling. And that's why they have these different things that they put before us to make us keep hoping. And that's how it works. And in that hope, our hope is exploited by the elite and the rich to make even more money. How many of you out there have tried their little scams and gotten burned? How much money have you spent at the hope of getting rich? Why do we keep doing it? All that money goes right back into the hands of these billionaires. And that's why we stay slaves. Now, these are all the emails I've gotten from Donald Trump over the past several years. Here you see every single one asking for money. Every single email. Sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 emails a day asking for money. This has been going on for years. You know, there were years since 2011, 2012 when I started this YouTube channel. After I left the beast system, chasing the American dream, there were years where I made as little as $200 a month. I was barely existing. A couple of those years I worked for room and board, maintaining acreage for my friend Mark in France. Made barely enough to give him a couple $100 a month for me being there. And what I had left over was $100 a month for food and $40 for gas. In fact, I spent most of the years here on YouTube at poverty level since 2012. So when I get emails like this from Trump's family, Trump Jr., Trump Sr., Melania, they all chime in. When they ask me for money, it kind of turns my stomach. And look, I know a lot of you have it worse than me. At least I have a YouTube channel where I can voice all of this and let it go and have people that understand and hear what I'm talking about. A lot of you don't even have that. I try to be a voice for you guys as much as I can and hear what you're saying and try to magnify what you're saying so that you feel heard. Maybe that's why a lot of you come here, because you get it and you feel like your voice is being heard. So I know I'm not complaining here. This isn't a sob story about how poor I am. I don't want these people's money. But what I'm trying to help you do is understand how the system works. And that Donald Trump is no different than any of these other elite billionaires. They're maintaining the system of control. Nothing's changed. But these emails, these should be an insult to every man, woman, and child in America. This just goes on and on and on. 3, 4, 5 emails a day. A billionaire asking people at poverty level for money. Unbelievable. And last time I checked, being I guess, what do they call that? 1099, because that's what we are here on YouTube. Some years are better than others, but for the most part, most of us are barely getting by, keeping the lights on. But if you are a 1099 employee of any corporation or self-business, you got to pay 15% right off the top in payroll tax for retirement that we probably won't even get. Even if you're making as little as a couple $100s a month, you got to pay 15% of that right off the top. Now, do billionaires pay Medicare tax or payroll tax? Not really. Here's from the Tax Foundation. Payroll tax transparency. Besides the fact that the federal government's imposition of employer-side payroll tax is misleading, it also leads to a possible problem. It makes the cost of programs that payroll taxes pay for, that is, rather than directly listing the ordinary taxpayer's share of the payments for Social Security and Medicare, half of the taxes that fund the programs are hidden from workers in the form of lower wages. So in other words, millionaires and billionaires that hire other people really just lower the wages, because you're supposed to be that the employer's supposed to pay half of the Medicare tax, right? But instead they just cut your wages. So here's where we're at, you guys. Now tomorrow, stay tuned, because what we're probably going to do is cover the new Utopia series that it's just come out, and it's a reboot, and it links back to the original 2013 British series by the same name. And that series was all about the Russian flu, for which a VC was made called Janus. Kind of like Trump. We identified Trump as Janus, and the sole purpose of this VC was to sterilize the world to reduce populations. So we'll see if the reboot continues these same themes. Appreciate everybody showing up to the show. Maybe we'll do a little Q&A for a bit. It's Monday. How long have we been on here? Yes, they all ask for money, Jeanette. You're absolutely right. Biden is asking for money too, but Biden's not the president of the United States right now. We've always focused on the person with the perceived power. We know that Trump has no power, but that's what's perceived right now. He's the one really driving the steering wheel right now. He's driving the car. But I don't know how many times I said in this show that both sides are doing it. So don't try to put me in a box. I'm not a leftist. They're both doing it. It's the system that Trump said would change, that would make America great, make it fair again, make it fair for people like you and me, right? But it hasn't happened. The same system is in place. The same system is in place. So yeah, Sam, Hillary's supposed to be in jail. She'll never go to jail. And there's so many other things. People, a lot of these emails that I get from Trump are all about, him basically, he complains a lot about the other side. That's to be expected. That's the right-left paradigm. But, look at some of these emails. All of this is just insightful, is what it is. But every single one, contribute, contribute, contribute. And people that maybe aren't as strong-minded might look at this and be like, man, I really want to help this president. He's going to make America great. But it's really not. It's really not. But he'll just blame the other side. That's how it works. That's how the right-left paradigm works. See, and they just keep picking each other. And I bet you if I was getting emails from Biden, and this is how you know I'm not a leftist, because why would I be getting emails from the Trump campaign? Because I was a registered Republican. So apparently they got my file or whatever and my email, and this is why they're sending me this. I don't have any emails from Biden. But this is what's going on. So they have these money drives, and they're just constantly saying how they need to raise more money, right? Why? We're all poor. You fix the problem first so everybody in this country can have a place to lay their head, not get evicted from their apartments, and just survive and actually have some fun in life. And then maybe people will start sending you money. But until that happens, why send a person like this money when the problems haven't been fixed? We need high-paying jobs with little or no skills. Right? Or we need a system where there's training. You know, the best thing you can do for a man is teach him how to fish. Where's all the training? Where's the readily available training? Where is the announcements for training and guaranteed jobs once you complete that training? Now, the people on the right will come out and say, that sounds communist. No, it doesn't. The government doesn't have to be in charge of all that, but they could create a system that allows an incentive for that. Maybe give a tax break to companies that do that offer training and then do job placement. I don't know, when's the last time any of you guys went to a recruiter or a job placement agency? It's a joke. You go in there. I went in there one time when I was unemployed back in 2000 something. I lost my pharmaceutical job. I was unemployed for an entire year. I was drawing benefits, and I went into a job placement agency. I was so excited, right? I'm going to go into this job placement agency. I have a college degree and all this experience. They're going to help me. They're going to place me, right? It was a joke. You know what I did for 2 months? I got into a truck, a moving truck, which I drove, which I wasn't even really licensed to drive. It was very dangerous. And guess what I did with a 4-year college degree? I picked up furniture from people that had died and left their money, or it was purchased. All their items were purchased by the local thrift shop. And me and this other guy, who was a convicted felon who sat next to me, moved 500-pound furniture down 7 flights of stairs. So I did that for a while. And then I realized that the $15 an hour that I was making was being taken directly out of my unemployment check. So I'm like, what's the incentive to do this? Almost broke my back, didn't have health insurance. I'm like, this is just not worth it. What am I doing? So I quit. And they, with a straight face, will make you do something like that after you've invested all of that time and energy into their economic system. With a straight face can tell you, oh, you're going to be a furniture mover now. You see how that works? That should be illegal. When you put in the effort and you've been successful at your career, there should be a place for you in this economy. Now, that has nothing to do with a person's personal skill levels. It has everything to do with an unfair system that was supposed to change when Trump got power, and it just simply didn't. Now, a lot of people at that point would just do themselves. They'd be like, I can't do this. I got school loans hanging over my head. I can't find another job. I went to 20 plus job interviews, been rejected all those times, and I just can't do this. And it takes a certain individual to keep pushing forward after all that. My children were young at the time. I had responsibilities. Child support doesn't go away. You got to find a job. You got to perform. You got to make it happen. Is that reality the same reality that the elite are living? Man like Donald Trump making billions of dollars, but claiming to lose money every year, but still holding on to his billions, still donating to charities. He's not worried about where he's going to sleep at night. He's not worried about his children having enough money. It's a different reality. And you can argue all you want, say, oh, his stress is different than ours, but is it really? Is it really? I don't think so. So, how we keep believing these rich people, I'll never know. I'd rather vote for a homeless person at this point. Why? Because they haven't had their morals corrupted. They haven't had money thrown at them and people offer them things to make them lie and manipulate the rest of us. And at least they were smart enough to walk away from the system and not invest another minute of their life into this fake economic system. But yet, here we go. We keep voting for millionaires and billionaires and people that we like to see on TV. Unbelievable. Sometimes I feel like we deserve what we get. You guys, judgment's coming in America, and we've believed the lie for way too long. And it's going to get to the point where God's grace will be gone. I love each and every one of you. I'm going to end the show here. See you guys tomorrow bright and early. Take care and be safe.